Hi guys, welcome to season 2 to Finding Happiness with Jasmine. Enjoy this episode and let me know what you think.
So, as Jasmine said, my name's Nicole. I am from the Philippines. My parents are Filipino. I started seeing this guy back in 2014. But prior to that, I had met him when I was younger, when I was 14 years old. And because he was an artist, so I saw him around and I was actually a fan of his music. So I'd seen him, but never thought that the relationship we had would ever come about until I bumped into him again later on in the years. And so in 2014, where we had started our relationship, I was just I guess besotted. Like, I just really was infatuated with him, like, someone that I always looked up to, someone that I liked his music and just his energy, and yeah, so I just really, I guess, was in love with him. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I would say love was something that I grew to. I grew to love him.
So it wasn't like love at first sight?
It wasn't love at first sight, no. Okay. It was more so like excitement of a new relationship, and something, I guess, that I had been lusting over, I guess, because I thought he was good looking when I was younger. So to have him see me as kind of like an equal, should I say, really kind of I guess got me excited. So anyway, 2014 we met, and we rekindled, I'd say, on different grounds, more of the grounds that I was old enough to be in a relationship with him. Anyway, we kind of really hit off, and we got to know each other well. But one thing that actually stands out is the way he kind of let me know about him. And it was almost like the first day that we sat down for like a drink, or yeah, it was a drink. We sat down for a drink, and he literally laid down all of his like pastimes in front of me. Like, he said,
opened up to you.
He opened up straight away. But it was quite bizarre for me, because it was just like almost an overload of all this information that I guess he didn't see as a positive, but he kind of just laid it all in front of me, as if to say, take it now or leave it, sort of thing. So I almost didn't get the chance to sit back and be like, hold on a minute. As I said, like, I was excited about the whole new relationship, or what was coming to be. And yeah, like, thinking about it now, to get all of that kind of information, like, he told me information about, he had been incarcerated. He told me that he was involved in gangs. He told me that he had 16 children, married a few times.
So you were not expecting to know?
I wasn't.
All of
Yeah,
that about
but
him.
Imagine, this was like the first time we sat down and had a drink together. So it was almost like, I'm going to give you all this information, take it or leave it. And on my side, like, when I look back at it, I'm thinking, I could have said no thanks, but first time meeting, of course you want to be like, let me give it a shot. But at the same time, like, there was a way to it was the way he had done it. He almost knew that there was worse to come.
Really?
Yeah, because for him to put it all out, I guess, for him to put it all out there and have me accept him, gave him the permission to be the way he is, because I knew about it. Anyway, we continued to get to know each other more, and I fell pregnant.
Right.
I fell pregnant within a year of being with him, actually. I couldn't tell you the exact details, but I know it was within the year. And I remember, it was crazy, because I remember before I found out I was pregnant, I went away. And before I left him, because I was with him like a night before I went away, and we were having like a cocktail, and I cheersed, and I said to him, cheers to us not being pregnant. That's what I said to him. I remember feeling really weird when I was away, and then I went home, and I had a dream, and in my dream I was pregnant, and I woke up at 6 a.m. and took a pregnancy test and found out I was pregnant.
Right.
And I cried and cried and cried.
That wasn't what you were
It wasn't what I was expecting.
all.
It wasn't, I don't think I wanted it at the time. You know, I was in a lot of conflict with myself, let alone what anyone else was thinking. And I remember I just cried, like throughout my whole pregnancy. I probably cried at least once a day.
Okay.
And then even like telling him about it, it was just hard for me because I knew he didn't want that.
Yeah,
you know,
he already had.
He already had
kids, yeah.
But at the same time, I didn't want to make a decision that I was going to regret.
Right.
Relationship before I fell pregnant was I guess fun. We went out a lot. I did have a few problems with women. I did, like women messaging me, messaging my friends.
He's an artist, isn't he?
Yeah,
so
but it was
the lifestyle he had.
But it wasn't even to do with music. It was just women who would tell me, you know, you're not supposed to be with him. He's my husband or my man or whatever.
Yeah.
And just phone calls, messages to me, my family, and he used to always, and I would confront him. And he used to always say to me, I told you I'm loved by many. I told you this at the beginning. One time I saw a message on his phone, and yes, I did snoop on his phone because I had a feeling.
You know that saying that, you know,
you should never, but I did. But what I saw was that he had been planning to bring a woman over to the place where we live, and whatever he had said in the texts, and that
in your house.
In my house, yeah.
He was planning to bring another woman that he was seeing, or just a friend.
I think he was seeing. I wouldn't think he doesn't make friends.
But how would that work if he was going to bring a woman to your house?
Oh, it would be like, say, because when I started getting fed up with things, because he had actually pulled me away from my family. So when I started getting fed up with his ways, I used to be around my family more, so I used to spend weekends over at my mum's house, and it almost became every weekend, so he knew I wasn't going to be at home on the weekends.
Okay.
Yeah. And so anyway, so I saw this message, and then from there I was just like, I almost became very numb to my relationship with him. I didn't, you know, I used to really play wife to him. I used to make sure everything was prepared. He never felt hungry. Like,
you did everything that
everything.
you could.
He was never thirsty. Like, I was always there, you know. But at that point, I had just stopped. Like, I just didn't want to.
You gave up.
I gave up. I was just like, I didn't want to do all those things anymore. You know, especially if I felt so disrespected, and like I felt so disrespected and like almost defeated. And I thought, I just don't want to do it anymore. And so I became very numb to my relationship with him, and he felt it.
You spoke about him pulling you away from your family. Tell us more about that. How did he do that?
So he wouldn't physically pull me away from my family, but he, you know, say for example, I'd be with my family, or we'd be with my family. The moment we get home, he'd be like, oh, your relatives this, your relatives that, you know, just really putting a negative energy on something that I thought was really positive and nice to be around my family. But the moment I get home, he'll sort of like feed me with like negatives and say, yeah, but you know.
Why was that? Do you think he didn't have a good relationship with his family? Because sometimes that's what happens.
He definitely didn't have a good relationship with his family. Okay. But I don't think he wanted me to have one either.
Because that's always the case, isn't it?
And so if you know me, like I'm family,
You
like
are. I've been around your family.
Yeah, exactly.
Family.
It's hard to get me away from them. But like the first few years of Kiama being born, my parents hardly spent time with her.
Wow.
That's how, you know, far I had become with them.
How long were you in the relationship with him for?
So 4 to 5 years.
Wow,
that
was a long time. And how did that affect you mentally, emotionally, and also physically? Was he ever physical with you?
He was physical, emotional.
What are the things that he did to emotionally abuse you or physically abuse you?
Like, I won't like talk about the proper physical stuff, but he'd do stuff like spit in my face in public, scream at me in public, throw money at me.
And that's in public.
In public.
And that's something that you've just shared with us. So if this is, and to us that's still horrible, do you know what I mean? Spitting at someone in public. So let alone, what does he really do to you in
I think
private?
to be honest though, for me, the physical stuff I could handle because it was just once and done with. But it was the mental that the mental hold he had on me, like even up till now, like I find myself being silenced and I can't even like open my mouth to say things because of the way I was with him.
You're not happy with something, you
Yeah,
just keep
exactly.
quiet.
Like I just keep, like I have everything I want to say in my mind, but I can't, it won't come out, and I know exactly where that stems from, you know. So I think for me it was more of a mental, it had a mental take on me, you know. You asked me like how it affected me mentally, and during the whole time I was with him, I didn't know. I had no idea. I had no idea that I was being in an abusive relationship. I just thought it was.
Did you become numb to it?
Yes, absolutely.
Like it became
I
norm
excused
to you?
it. Like I excused it for so long. I saved his face, and I know my friends and family saw the change in me.
Yeah.
Everyone saw the change in me, but
I mean, I can testify, I'm not going to lie, so because we've been friends for such a long time, and I noticed the change. I knew there was something wrong, but I knew that we had that kind of relationship where if there was anything, we will always find a way to discuss it,
speak about it.
And you will always tell me, because we tell each other, we've spoken about deep stuff. So I knew that if you were going through something like this, that you would, although it wouldn't have been easy for you to discuss it or tell me about it, but you would have eventually told me about it. So when anytime I came to visit you and, you know, ask you about how you're doing, how's everything, you know, because I loved him because of you. I accepted
this
him
is what everyone,
because of you. Like, because to be honest, I didn't really want him for you, but because you portrayed him as this amazing guy, this protector, and this, you know, you sold him to us. Literally. You did.
I did that to everyone
because
around
we
me.
were like,
No one knew. No one really
okay,
knew.
who's this guy? Okay, this is our girl. We're super protective over her. What are you all about? And the fact that we embraced him and loved him and believed that he was treating you so well, you know, it came as a shock when you eventually told me. But why did you not share it with us? Like, why did you have to hide it from us?
I think it was because in my head, I was in that relationship for life. There was that was just me and him and Yami forever.
Okay. Especially when you've had a child with him.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was bound. Like that's how I felt, and I didn't want to taint that kind of. I wanted to save his face. I didn't really want to taint anyone's perception of him, even though some people had actually seen his true colors, like where he had slipped up in front of family, or, you know, he had an altercation with my brother at one point. So I think they saw it, but because where I'm so strong-willed, I'm like, I'm okay, you know what I'm like, I got myself. And
but you wouldn't allow things like that to happen to
I
you.
kept that up until like the last bit.
So what was the last straw?
It was when he tried to he didn't try to, he took my phone and my car keys and my house keys. So it meant that
what happened?
because so that's where I had gone numb.
Okay.
And I you could just feel how cold I was being towards the relationship, and I must have came home from my mum's, and it was quite late. And he was like, I walked in and he was shaking with anger, and I was just like, oh no, like I knew like something. I laugh about it now, but at the time I wasn't laughing. But anyway, I was scared to go home. But so I walked in and he was shaking. He was waiting at the door. He was shaking with anger, and he was just like, give me your phone. So I gave him my phone, and he was like, give me your keys. And I gave him my keys, and I just knew then if he had done anything to me, there was no way no one would know.
Your age,
There's no phone, no key. I can't leave the house, I can't go anywhere, and I can't phone anyone. And when he did that, I was just like, game over. The moment I can get access to get out with basically get someone safe, I'm going, and I ain't coming back.
Kids know when something is off. So as a mother, I know you're very protective in terms of not showing her that this is what's happening. But how did you manage that? And did you ever cry things out? Because it's like you seem to have bottled a lot of things inside.
Yeah, I did bottle a lot of things. I don't even remember crying things out. I think I would cry myself to sleep when he hurt me, like physically or mentally, whatever. Every time I felt hurt by him, I would cry, but I never really like cried out for help or anything. I didn't until, to be honest, I must be so strong because I just did everything on my own, like even to the point when...
Why did you feel like you had to do this on your own?
I think I'm just that kind of person, you know. I like to do things on my own.
You don't like to burden people?
No, I don't like so I had to go to the police station.
Right, tell us about that.
I had to go to the police station. So he took my phone, took my key. I then had to fake being happy and, you know, trying to get my stuff back, basically. I had to, you know, be lovey-dovey with him to try and get my stuff. And
so this was the last straw.
This was the last straw. But I knew if I hadn't acted normal and carried on acting cold, he was just going to keep me in that house and hold on to my stuff forever. So I had to act lovey-dovey with him, and then he gave me my stuff. And so I know the next day I had work, so I said, I'm going to take my stuff. I'm not even going to bother bringing clothes. Take my stuff, take Yami, and I went straight to work. My best friend and my cousin, I called them both to help me watch Yami while I file a report.
So you actually went to the police station?
I went to the police station
to report
this
it?
This was after work. I went to the police station to report him. As horrible as it seems to report a loved one, you know, to the police, when you know it's gonna if you don't do that, it's gonna have a worse effect. You know you're doing the right thing. And so I didn't feel much of a way. I was just I just had to tell them everything and had to relive like all of this stuff that I had to tell them. There was so much stuff that I didn't even remember, but because they ask you a lot of questions, and I was just answering them truthfully, and just what was coming out of my mouth even shocked me. Like my cousin who was sitting there with me just couldn't even believe half.
Was that the first time?
That was the first time anyone, not even my best friend, heard anything. But she was sat there while I was giving my statement, and I could just feel her mouth drop, and she was looking at me. I couldn't even look at her, and and I just told them everything.
Because I mean, when you told me about it, I got really emotional. Like I was so speechless, and normally I'm always a chatterbox. I'm always like talking a lot, but when you shared that with me, I went silent because I just couldn't believe something like that will happen to such a beautiful person like you, and it just hurt me so much. So during that time, how did this whole thing affect your faith? Did you feel like God let you down?
No,
because you were a Christian, or you are a Christian.
Yeah, well, I've never really felt let down by God, to be honest with you. No matter what bad things happen, I've never felt like, oh God, why did you do that? I've never ever felt that way.
That's amazing.
So sometimes I can't really relate to people who do feel that way. I think they're a bit, but maybe I just process things differently. But what you say, what it did to my faith?
Yeah. How did that shake your faith?
Actually, right at the beginning of the relationship, part of my ex's controlling ways was to bring me further away from God. Wow. That was one of his things that he just always kind of like kept on squashing with me. And you know what I was like. I was
such a fire.
Yeah, I was
Fire person for God.
but yeah, so he squashed that, like slowly squashed. But yeah, so my faith wasn't really shaken by the trauma of what had happened, but more so the control of what was going on.
Right.
Is where.
But what was going through your head at that time spiritually as a Christian?
You know, so the last time I turned to God for like some sort of comfort was when Kiyama was a baby. I remember I used to hold her in my arms and I used to sing.
Wow.
I don't want to cry.
That's so emotional.
Yeah, I used to. You told me you were gonna do. But yeah, I remember that's the last time. She was a baby.
Wow.
But yeah, so the faith thing happened like at the beginning of the relationship more so than.
So would you say that you kind of like lost your faith?
I say he took it. That's the truth. Jasmine, why'd you always do this? We're in the middle of a park. I can't do
So I feel like I should have been there. I should have been there more.
But there was nothing anyone could do if I was, I just took. That's the truth.
So, having experienced this, you as a child, or not even as a child, but you have witnessed. I don't need you to name specifically who, but you have witnessed people going through something similar like that in the family.
Yeah. So, I mean, who wasn't around domestic abuse growing up? But yes, I did experience it. I did witness it, and I think I always kind of wondered why I witnessed and experienced things like that growing up. But now I know it's because it helped me decide where I was going in my relationship.
Was that like a deja vu when you experienced it? Did you feel like, you've witnessed someone in your family go through it, so wow, this is actually happening to me also?
I wouldn't say it was a deja vu, but what it was I almost saw them as light bearers, and because I knew that they had walked what I was going through, I kind of just wanted to be close to them and like kind of just get everything, like all their experience, what they and try and apply it and use it to help me decide what I wanted to do and how to go about it. So, yeah, I think like a lot of things that can be generational occurrence, if you don't stop it where you're at when you're going through it, you'll keep it going.
To be honest, when we spoke about it, because we spoke slightly in depth about it, and you stopped it.
Yeah,
like it stopped from her because you decided not to stay in that relationship, because previous generations had to stay because of how the culture was, tradition was. Like, I mean, you can't be with someone and just leave them. But in your case, you were not even married to him, so it was like, I'm not really bound to be in a relationship that I'm not happy in, so I can just leave. Do you know what I mean? So I think that was one amazing thing that you did, not just for yourself but for Kiyama and her generation. It's like you decided to not allow this to continue, and she saw you go through something like this, and now she's seeing you at a happy place. So that's amazing. Where are you at now in your life?
Now I'm all about personal growth.
Yes.
Just being the best that I can be for my daughter for one, my friends and my family. I can never gain back those years that I lost, but I can just stay positive and just be me again. Really, I'm a very positive person. You know, there's never ever like anything negative coming out of my mouth, and I miss that. I miss being able to encourage someone and like give someone that like push to do better. And I feel like I'm becoming more and more myself. I feel like there was a middle bit where I'd gone through that, and then there was a little middle bit before I could get to where I am now. But thankfully that didn't last very long. Like I kind of just sat one day, I sat on the toilet. This is true stories. I sat on the toilet and I cried. I had one cry by myself, and I said, sorry, I cried because I realized I was depressed, and I cried. And I sat there and I said, no, I'm not doing that. As soon as I got out of that toilet, I just literally changed my mindset. And yeah, no,
because you didn't recognize yourself. Like,
no, that's the thing. It was crazy because I didn't realize it until one day I did, one night I did, and it really hit me like, oh my goodness, like where am I? What am I doing here? And but I recognized it. When my head wasn't right and when I was in a low place, my body just went. My skin was bad, my hair was bad, my energy was bad, how active I was low, everything was just bad. So when your mind is bad, and you know, everything just goes downhill. So like I said, when I figured that out in the bathroom, in the toilet that night, I said to myself, the first thing I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to wake up, give my daughter a big cuddle, make myself a green drink, make her breakfast, and I'm going to work out.
So what advice and what tips can you give people to notice these things or to be aware to help?
I think first thing is, obviously you'll notice that they've become like a bit of a recluse, not themselves, something's changed, like completely changed. But I think it's important not to force yourself on them, but always be ready to be there for them, you know, always be ready for that phone call. Also check up on them, but not too much, because I feel like when basically someone who's going through domestic violence, well, personally in my case, I kind of just didn't want to be around anyone. So the more people tried to like holler at me, I was just like kind of pushing away more. So I think just if you feel like your friend or someone close to you is going through it, just be prepared to pick up the pieces, you know, when the time comes. I think it's hard to...
How can they get them to open up?
It's hard, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't have opened up if I wasn't ready myself. So but people are different. So I think if you notice already a change in your loved one, then just check on them every now and then, know when to pull back, and
a little text here and there will be sweet, will be nice. Something, a video, something to kind of like cheer them up, to make them feel like just someone cares for them. Just
even something different to what they're experiencing. So something just positive, something funny, you know, just to get them out of that for a moment. But yeah, I think most importantly, just be for them whenever or whatever.
As much as you can.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. Make sure you comment, like and subscribe. and let me know what you think. Don't forget to also click the notification button for more stories. Stay tuned.